middle ground that just gets us nowhere. That's why we're going to people like that. So, you know what? We're not centrist, I call it. I mean, my body is up here. I'm trying to use it as my own.
Yeah.
But we're getting destroyed in the past rate, and we're not fixing anything. Like, we can't act like, oh, kumbaya, everything is good. That's why, like, Bernie Sanders has the revolutionary approach of saying, hey, let's take a big approach of progressivism or like progressive ideals and make some systemic changes. That's why, like, the libertarian values say, like, we need to take personal responsibility, not let those institutions, like healthcare, bankrupt us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but, yeah, Sean, not everything. What do you want me to say?
Well, since you're an independent, I kind of want to get your stances before we get into like questions. You know what I mean? Like I wrote down a few stances, just like what are your opinions on them? I guess we'll start with Second Amendment. What are your stance on the Second Amendment and gun rights? I guess.
Well, first off, everything I'm saying is all complicated. I don't have stock lines because life's not that complicated.
Fair enough.
Right? I understand the Constitution. The Second Amendment, I understand the personal responsibility of people wanting to defend themselves with own guns. So between them, we have to look at the issues. What gets me angry is when people say, the statistics will say, oh, well, drug law and gun laws are the tightest in places like Chicago and blah, blah, blah. Like, and that's where the murders are the highest. And you're like, yes, the murders and gun violence are the highest there, which is why they tried making laws against guns. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They can control that. But what happens is, around those areas, in the West, is we have gun trafficking because the more you go over and have looser gun regulations, they just traffic. So it's not.
Same with drugs. Same with drugs. The war on drugs only bumps up the increase of drugs being smuggled across the world and country.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just a weird sense, and we conflate the two arguments of like interceding violence, which is one. You know what I mean? And then we have like hunting, and then we have the right to protect yourselves. These are all different conversations that they try to clump into like no guns, fuck guns, no that.
Yeah.
My guns, I shoot guns. I don't have a carrying license or any of that. I don't own any guns. It's not my thing. When people bring up, I'm just like, no one's gonna fucking shoot us.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why you need to bring a handgun to a bar. Like,
Yeah.
what do you? And like, just like,
Understandable.
I don't know that brings a handgun to the bar, but like, they'll just like leave the gun in their console or whatever. And it's like, whatever. But I do understand that if shit was to go down, like someone's getting robbed or something, you know what I mean? You'd feel much more comfortable if you had a gun.
Yeah.
You know what I understand that. So it's a much deeper conversation. So what we want to do is respect rights, right? We want to respect rights, but at the same time, we want to decrease the amount of gun violence. And from there, we have two types of gun violence that we see around the news. Besides the terrorist attacks, if you look at usually some of them are two right.
Yeah. It's mental illness more than anything.
Yeah. So that's like a separate. But then we have issues of like the mental health, like mass shootings. You know what I mean? And those people are like, there's no way about it. They have anyone that goes out and wants to hurt that many people with a callousness is there's something there. And
Yeah.
That's mental health screenings and all that stuff is important. But what the other issues get gun violence down. You know what I mean? In the area like the cities up there I was talking about, like Chicago and LA, and like where they have this gun violence, is when it's always men. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like that. So you get a man between the ages of 16 and like 20.
Yeah.
That's what you do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you look at that opportunity, there's a thing called That show Vice. Have you ever watched Vice?
Vice? No, I've heard of the channel Vice though.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, okay, yeah, oh, yeah,
There's one, it's called Black Market, the guy from the Wild Hair. Have you ever heard of it?
yeah. No, I've never seen that.
It's a show called Black Market, and he talks about just the black markets and he travels the world. The one that he goes to talks about is the black market of guns. And he talks about the black market of guns, and he talks about Chicago, where handgun violence is the highest.
Yeah.
And all other violence is the highest. And what he says, and this is what we have to deal with, it's very blatant, very pure, but it's the truth. He says, people talk about like gun violence, gang violence, and all like they put all these in it like nuance to it, whatever. But they broke it down real nice, and he goes, because he was talking to gang members, you know what I mean? Like, just it was in there. Fucking deal thing. And what he said was, it's not gang violence on like drugs or like because they're all poor. If you look, they're all poor.
Yeah.
If you have, you know what I mean? So what he says when he's interviewed, and he's finds out, and this is the phrase, and I wish there was a better way to say it, but the gun violence is caused by two things: custody and crime.
Okay, yeah.
You get that?
Yeah.
You can see that. But who are the two people who are fighting all the pussy and trying to be the toughest guys? Men between the ages
Ages 16, 25, 28.
So when we're looking at gun violence in isolation, like, oh, blah, 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 they're violence, drugs, and those don't have opportunity to express themselves. And that's a sociological concept. It's something called hegemonic masculinity. And it's a thing look up. And it's a way for masculinity is then hegemonic means dominance. So it's the way that a man can dominate, prove that he's a man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because a guy biologically needs function and the ability to provide and defend. That's what a man needs. Function, ability to provide and defend. If a man can't defend himself, he feels weak. If a man doesn't have purpose and can provide and whatever, he feels insignificant. So we need function. So what we have in those areas of Chicago where gun violence is the highest, or whether it's Cleveland or whatever, we see low economic opportunity. So the only expression of dominance that a man can have is to show that he's better than someone. It's just someone, but it's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So using that. But if they have a better outlet, you know what I mean? Or like opportunity to express themselves in a more constructive way with like, I don't need this job. Fuck that dude who just shut me down. I got a fucking job. My life is good. I'm gonna fuck that dude.
Yeah. I'm not gonna get into an argument. It's not gonna shoot him.
It's much easier and simpler when you have two guys who have nothing and they get a pissing match. No one's gonna walk away until one of them fucks the other one up.
Yeah. You got nothing to lose.
That's it. Like someone like comes up to me and they're like, no, blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, whatever. We can just walk away and I can express my function, my ability through other means. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why I always talk about growing our economy, because what's happening with automation, economic decline, shipping jobs overseas, all these things, is people are losing function. So we have too much headspace. When we have too much headspace, we fucking get in trouble. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's where I feel with all the violence going on right now, is people are out of work. Or no money. People are scared. People are depressed. People are violent. And they have no way to express themselves. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So say, yeah, this is my business. I'm going to build this. I'm going to build this. Everyone has nothing, so they have to express themselves in other ways. So when we look at the issue like gun violence, if we want to reduce gun violence, the access to guns is only one aspect. What we want to do is provide opportunities so people can not be involved in gun violence. You know what I mean? Because no one's going to be lying about drugs if they have a job that pays $75,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who sells drugs make more money? Like
They're selling because they're not making money. Yeah.
But that if we improve that schools when we set up STEM, like science, technology, engineering, and math, we have free access to all that stuff. People can educate themselves and make real money by becoming a pharmaceutical executive.
Yeah.
That's what drug money is.
That's the real drug money. Yeah.
So that's the when we talk about guns, we have to talk about yes, the First Amendment rights. Good luck with your fucking AR-15 versus a helicopter. We got a real fun, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so when I got this safety and self-defense of an individual, when we want to talk about something like gun violence, we have to provide opportunity for people, and that will get rid of gun violence. Same thing with all sorts of low-level crimes, and that's statistically proven on any measure you want to do. But so gun violence, I'm sure being honest, and they're fun, but the first time I saw a handgun and shot it, I go, you can't fucking walk into Walmart and just buy it.
Yeah.
It's like
It's too powerful. Yeah.
Police has to get training, like a 101 with a guidance counselor to see if you're fucking.
They're enough to. Yeah. I agree.
So that's my long answer. But we have self-defense and then we have gun violence. So we can't get rid of guns because there's a need for self-defense. But we're going to lower crime and the need to have guns if we provide economic opportunity through education and jobs creation through infrastructure.
Fair enough.
Increased infrastructure that grows the general economy. So, that answer had nothing to do with guns, but I hope.
Hey, it sounded good. That's all that matters. What about your stances on marijuana, medical and recreational uses?
Like 6 plants growing. The only reason I'm not smoking weed right now is because I cut back. Because I cough too much, because I smoke too much.
Okay, respect it.
Yeah, and the issue should be federal prohibition. That's a farce.
Agreed.
It was put in the 1970s and under a Schedule 1 criteria. And the Schedule 1 criteria says no accepted medical value in the United States, no proven safety under medical supervision, and a high potential for addiction. So we'll break those down. Potential for abuse. That's like saying if it's good, it's good, so it's going to be repeated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Using marijuana isn't abusing marijuana. Like it's a big difference. Like if you use it, whatever, so it doesn't have a problem with abuse. Anything can be abused. Internet, Twitter can be abused, but marijuana can be abused, not by most people. Then the other one is medical safety. It is safest drug known.
No side effects at all. Yeah.
Exactly. And if you put it in gummy bear form, there are no side effects. If you smoke it, you're inhaling carcinogens. Like, don't lie. If you put smoke into your lungs, you hurt yourself.
Yeah.
But that's the smoke. That's not the THC.
It's not the marijuana itself. Yeah.
Then the other one that I get a kick out of is that it says that there's no accepted medical value in the United States, but at the same time we have 37 states that.
Bingo. Yep.
So it's the biggest. What offends me is that we have politicians that have the balls to talk about science and racial justice and all these things when marijuana is the top racially disparately enforced drug policies of all time. You're more likely to get arrested if you're a black person for pot than a white person doing everything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I talk about racial justice, medical marijuana being legal is the most fucked up thing.
I know that 4 in 10 of all drug arrests are marijuana offenses in the U.S., which is mind-boggling. 4 in 10, like it's crazy for a harmless plant.
Exactly. So it's such a waste of money, and we'll let people lie to you about. I think like 600,000 people a year get arrested for pot.
Yep, it's like 663, which is nuts.
Yeah, so it's terrible and offensive, but the best way to do it is acknowledge science. If I had my choice, it'd be get rid of the fucking Controlled Substances Act, which is the one that's on there. It is the biggest waste of bullshit time ever. If you were to regulate drugs, there's a better category of taking. It's based on bullshit. They have marijuana just as dangerous as heroin, which is like that's Schedule 1. That's Schedule 2. What the fuck? Who made this list?
Yeah.
It's bullshit. Yeah. And so that's it. So yeah, and then so acknowledge it federally, and then let states decide on their regulatory policies. That's it. In Massachusetts, it's bullshit because we have it's a legal monopoly. They only pass out 25 licenses. We're like, that's a money grab. Just let it go. Let the people decide what they want to. Fucking taxes.
Yeah.
Don't look to selling pot as an economic driver. You legalize pot to respect freedom. You let people get on with lives so that they could do important shits and learn about smoking pot.
Yeah. Well, I know in the first 2 fiscal years since marijuana's been legal in Massachusetts, they made 122 million in taxes alone, which is just like it's mind-boggling. You know what I mean?
Right? Well, I was joking with my neighbor because we said that I'm looking at reading that I passed out like 500 flyers earlier, and they're all getting drenched right
Oh,
now.
that's tough.
Right? Well, whatever. What the heck is it? We were talking about marijuana. I was talking with my neighbor, and we were joking because the federal, since they tax it so much, I don't go to pot stores to buy my pot.
Yeah.
I get it from the same guy I've always gotten it from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just like,
That's most people do.
Zero, and, yeah. What was it?
I said as most people do. I feel like the majority of marijuana smokers just buy it off, their friends or people they know, rather than pay a 15% tax or whatever it is.
It's like 25.
Oh man, that's nuts.
But the people who do the industry pot, it is a really high quality. I mean, when I worked out, I work in courts, and like when I travel to state a lot, so I always go by like big cool. But might as well buy some fun stuff. You know?
Yeah.
A little day to day as usual. But yeah, so legalizing in states is that politicians are so against it, they have stances on it, but they won't acknowledge the federal parts. You're like, where's your integrity? Like, you have an opinion, blah, 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 but can you call spade a spade and just say that that's bullshit and go from there? But none of them want to acknowledge the bullshit because they were all, like the guy I'm going against, Keenan. He was against decriminalization. He was against medical marijuana.
Wow.
He was against adult marijuana. He was against all these things. And then now he puts up a picture of him with Ed Mark. Get the justice. And so, you're like, shut the fuck up, dude. You're bullshit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the biggest entry into the criminal justice system, that racial disparity impact on people of color. When you've spoken against that injustice for 10 years, don't fucking act like you're not a piece of shit. The science has been out. The science has been out for all of humanity.
Yeah.
You know, like, cannabis has been safe all of humanity. Then this fuckstick comes and says, oh no, it's not safe, but we're going to leach the heroin, we don't have time. You're like, shut the fuck up, you're full of shit, like, can we stop? Man up and be honest.
Yeah. So you don't believe marijuana is a gateway drug in any way? I assume.
Marijuana leads to drunk driving, AIDS, overdoses, the dinosaurs will come back. Schizophrenic. You won't get into heaven. You won't get into heaven if you smoke pot. You got that?
Yeah.
No. No, it's not even pharmacologically comprehensive. It's not even sociologically comprehensive to relate one substance that has nothing to do with another substance. That's like you're going to lead to typing on a computer. Like, kind of, that has nothing to do with each other. Like, whatever. But yeah, so it's not a gateway drug. It's all that shit. It's all horseshit.
Yeah, I've always said if marijuana is a gateway drug, so is milk, because all junkies drink milk before before they shoot up heroin.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. Like that's precise. Good analogy.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
While we're talking about marijuana, around Quincy and a lot of the South Shore, drugs are a pretty I'm talking hard drugs, heroin, fentanyl, crack. I mean, cocaine. There's a lot of drug use on the South Shore. Do you have any vision or plan on how you would kind of cut back on that or attempt to limit it?
Yes, there are a couple of ways. Right now, we're starting a trend. There's too much to do with it, but what we did about 30 years ago, 40 years ago, also was that higher crime era, there was zero tolerance for drug abuse.
Mm-hmm.
And then when that happened, it had no impact on lowering drugs. It increased recidivism and drug overdose rates went up with all harm. Right now, we're going for something called the harm reduction model, and that's supposed to be like treatment over prison, which makes sense. You know what I mean?
So rehabilitation over prison time?
Like, exactly. But what we have to do is they become drug addicts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yes, I think they had a tough life and all that stuff, which led them to drugs. What we need to do is cut that sugar to make sure that they never get involved in dangerous drugs in the first place. The same way that I mentioned about gun violence, about making sure people have opportunity to channel their frustrations and anger and have a good life and pro-social directions, that's what we need to put forward. Like, there's going to be an issue of drug overdoses occur most of the lowest economic participation. That's the fact. You know, and so the poorer the neighborhood, more people involved in drugs. That involves the sociological reasons of like, oh, I had drugs, my mother was an addict, my brother was an addict, so I'm an addict.
Yeah.
You know, so what we need to do is get rid of that by saying, no, we have opportunity. We don't have to keep going down this path of fixing it. We put duct tape after someone's become an addict. We have to stop it so people don't become so good. So, damn it, it's pouring.
Yeah, it's coming down.
All the work I did this morning, literally got.
Did you put the flyers in mailboxes?
You know what? Put it in mailboxes.
I
put it like on the door, but that's whatever. I just get to do it all again. So when we talk about to answer drug addiction, two issues we got. There's the illegal drug addiction, which is becoming an addict. And then we have legal drug addiction, which is our pill for every ill culture.
Mm-hmm.
That's something where we overprescribe so many antidepressants, so many anxiety medications, so many of this and so many of that, and so many of this, then side effect drugs and this and this and this and this. And drop you up, put you down, to let us pull up. You have to have things like all the alligators and Xanax and all that stuff, which are the biggest money makers because it's an easy solution to put someone on a job instead of fixing the problem.
The actual root causes, yeah.
Yeah. And we have to worry about that actual culture because I don't want to discredit what's legitimate. But I also have to concern ourselves, we have to concern ourselves with what's pharmaceutical drug addiction. You know what I mean? Because we spend billions of dollars a year on marketing topics. Like, even all the drugs we talk about are name brand drugs. You know what I mean? Those are all patents and name brands. It's a very real reason. Like, even Narcan. Narcan is the name brand. Suboxone is a name brand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These are local making drugs by the pharmaceutical.
I was.
We have to watch.
Sorry, go ahead. I always found it odd how they market prescription medications on commercials and stuff like that. I've always found that so strange. I mean, if you did that with marijuana, people would lose their minds.
Right? Well, that's it. It's direct-to-consumer marketing. We're the only country besides New Zealand that does it. We spend the most money on it. but it's not necessarily just the direct to the people that tell you, tell your doctor that you're feeling sad and don't get moved up.
Yeah.
What it is direct to consumer marketing is when doctors market to when pharmaceutical companies market to doctors. So what they do is they draw a very fine line between educational materials, which are the studies that are funded by the pharmaceutical companies that project the results they want. So, hey, this is an effective drug, but that's marketing. So is it marketing or education when they feed these doctors all of these, hey, tell your patient that if they're feeling bad, we have this chemical enhancement, which will make them feel good. And that's what concerns me, because if you look at 1 in 5 women is on an antidepressant. The 20% of women in the country are on antidepressants. So what's driving that? Like, we have to look, yes, modern society gets fucked, and people are stressed out, and even our opponents of marijuana. So who are we to say, don't put that in your body, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're like, hey, maybe try to put that on.
Yeah. So you have to be something addictive. Yeah.
So, like, go to that. What sticks is when people start dealing with pharmaceuticals, they become addicted. So if someone's been on antidepressants for so long, and then they take themselves off that chemical, they're going to be, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm talking about, that legal. So we have the illegal addiction, which is like opiates, so he's a junkie, whatever. But then we have this person's on a bunch of anxiety medications, on this offer, on this down. We're like, why are we looking at this as a substance abuse issue? Like, are they using it? Are they abusing it? And when you look at the statistics on the drug question and the amount of money they spend on pushing pills into it, what's 40 years versus our past 10,000 years of not needing that shit? It looks like it's a little drug.
Yeah.
No. What we need to do is, when it comes to those issues, there are four components of dealing with drug regulatory policies. There's the clinical trials, which is when a drug goes in and they have to show evidence that it works. That's one area because it's disruptive. Like, who's paying for the clinical trials? Oh, the
taxpayers.
The company who wants us to get good results.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Like, who's paying for that? The company that's selling it. So the clinical trial. And they're expensive as fuck. It costs $1 billion to bring a drug to market.
Wow.
And so that, yeah. So it's clinical trials, and then there's the FDA review, which is low funded because you cut pharmaceutical regulations, that's through hard push shit. So it's underfunded government regulations going against the overfunded pharmaceutical companies who made the trials. And there's no, it's a very hard checks and balances. Like, this drug didn't work, and this drug does work, because you're like, who judges what it is? We have, to see if the drug works, there's only 2 criteria. Is it effective versus the placebo group? Like, did more people say it works versus not?
Yep.
And whether the risks, or whether the benefits outweigh the risks. And you're like, well, what's that? And that's where you get that line. Every time you listen to those pharmaceutical commercials where they talk about just nonsense, like, let's say, and then they rush to they're like, we can buy this, diarrhea, blah, 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 blah. That's the risk. So you have to determine risk versus results. So it's clinical trials, FDA review, and then we have the consumer marketing. That's the other issue of, like, are you educating people or are you pushing drugs? Like, what are you?
Yeah.
Like, then the other one is prescribed practices. In the U.S., which I think is good, is we made the government can't get involved between you and your doctor. And like, that kind of makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, I get that principle. But by allowing that freedom, it allows pharmaceutical companies to let people push whatever drugs they want for whatever reason. There's something called off-label prescribing, and something. And yeah, so we have to worry about those four components with pharmaceuticals, then we have to get pharmaceutical drug regulatory policy, enhance our treatment, and then we have to build our economy to make sure that people don't with drug addiction, that they have opportunity, education, ability to find a job and work pro social life. So, and actually to make this all fun and circular, as many problems in the pharmaceutical and biomedical industry there are, that's the growing sector that we need to grow our economy, especially here in Massachusetts. So when we want to stop drug addiction, one thing we have to do is bolster our pharmaceutical company to make sure that they create jobs and the innovation to keep our economy going. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
That's why I get upset when they're like, they may produce, we don't put farms to go big. You know what I mean?
Because it affects us. Yeah.
It pushes us back. You know what I mean? But like, we don't want people to be scared of making innovations because that will cause their economy to decline. But we also don't want to give them too much freedom because that will allow people to sell drugs like they did with Oxycontin. If that all makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. Good. But the create hope and get more truth and honesty. Create hope so we have less drug addictions. We regulate pharmaceutical companies with more honesty type of regulations to make sure that they're not fucking people over and hurting. That's it.
What about this one's kind of out there. I only mentioned because on your Instagram you posted a video and you said my opponent's biggest
Vaping.
Huh? The vaping. Yeah. What is your opinion on the vape ban that hit?
Finish your question though.
No. I just wondered what your stance is on it because you kind of poked fun of Mr. Keenan and said, his biggest concern is flavored jewels and vapors, and I got a good laugh out of that because if that's your biggest concern, then there's something wrong.
Exactly. That's what that was the biggest issue for like 2 years. What is it? And the only reason because he chases headlines. Like the guy who says like, oh, the leader of opiate, blah blah blah. I hope I've expressed that I used to have some inkling of pop drug policy.
Yes, very much so.
This guy has no idea about everything. Like, he came in not knowing about drug addiction. He did not say the word drug addiction until 2011, way after it was in the headlines. So he chases headlines, is what they. But then there was that part that said vaping is a problem, and a couple things. Smoking anything is bad.
Yeah. Pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, but I smoked cigarettes for God knows how long. I still smoke pot. And so I'm not here to tell people don't vape or whatever, but it's also like, I get it, but what's called is informal social control. You know what I mean? That's when society and people are just like, don't vape, man, it's not good for you, but you don't need a law to tell people that.
Yeah.
Right? So, don't vape, it's not healthy for you, but also you're fucking adult. You should go first, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's it.
Fair enough.
But, yeah. But if you smoke robot dicks, you're a faggot.
Now, let me ask you a serious question. Why won't he debate you? Because you mentioned it a lot that he refuses to debate. What is his reason for it? It seems very unconstitutional and undemocratic to me.
Yeah, no, precisely. One is he's a scapegoat because, as I mentioned, I hope I've exhibited some inkling that I know what I'm talking about very comfortably.
Absolutely.
He doesn't know how to be comfortable. Because what's he going to do? Is he going to say his biggest policy, his drug policy against me? We're going to kill our brother each time. But I can go all day about his inconsistencies and how he's failed to address anything. And that's his biggest issue. Like, I'm just going to, there you go. he won't debate field that he doesn't have. So he's going to sit back and just wear out the clock and take advantage of people, not knowing that he is big. You know what I mean? Because they would just be emperors in clothing. It's like, dude, you got nothing. Give me a rest. Like, if you're better than me, prove it.
Mm-hmm.
Like he knows he can't. So that's why he pulls all the dumb shit of blah blah blah. He gave 3 reasons that I won't agree. One, he said, I'll look at my phone.
Gotcha.
I'll read the email to you.
Oh, he sent you an email saying it?
But yeah, no, because he's a loser. He'll laugh at these responses. So he ignored me in 2006. And no, 2016. And he just got on the hook. And I was trying because, like you said, it seems standard and automatic that the 2 candidates who are running get invited to a debate a month before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I had to ask for it, I had to push it, I had to set it up.
Now, does this the other Senate members, do they have debates for other counties? Is this like a regular occurring thing that happens?
No, because he's so broken that no one is running for him. There are no contestant. There are 30 state senate seats up for grabs. Only 6 of them, only 7 of them, less than a quarter, are contested.
Wow.
So people don't deal with competition and challenges in the state. That's an inherent. It's inherent. Yeah. Some are like progressive Democrats, whatever. But then most of them have just been using that Democrat title to ride the wave and taking advantage of people because they say, "Oh, he's a Democrat. He has to be a nice guy."
Yeah.
But no, all I'm going against is an asshole. He's a liar for that an asshole. Like he refuses to debate. He wants to put people who smoke marijuana in jail, and then he calls himself a progressive drug.
Yeah. How can you call yourself progressive when that's your view?
I don't know how to even deal with that. So let me get these emails. So he refuses to debate. I wish I could just find the emails now.
No, you're good. Take your time. If you can't find them, there's no worries.
Yeah, no, okay, well, I'll just go over. One of the reasons he said that he won't debate me is that I posted online that he refuses to debate.
Okay. That's a cheap one. That's a cheap one right there. That makes no sense.
I don't know what. I posted online and said he's refused to debate me since 2016. And he goes, "That's not true. We debated in 2016. I'm like, no, we weren't allowed to talk to each other. That's not a debate.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, that's a question and answer forum. There were 4 other people. That's not.
But did you guys just have moderators like not letting you discuss with each other?
Yeah, we had 3 moderators, a host, and we weren't allowed to even look at each other.
Wow.
The weirdest thing.
Yeah.
So like, I'm just like, dude, if that's what you choose, I'm gonna take that as a refusal to debate. Because when I think of a debate, I think of, let's say, like Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah, yeah.
Where it's a microphone and a microphone, and 2 human beings talking like human beings for 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get all the detail you want. That's what, in my mind, would be a debate. So John's like, we posted online that I refused to debate. And he said, no one has invited us to debate. So that's why I haven't debated. And like, it says, if a legitimate source, if a legitimate person invites us to debate, I'll gladly accept. And as a constituency, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, that's very vague.
My name's on the ballot. Is the state not legitimate? Like, is our democratic process not legitimate? And constituents not legitimate? And what is the non-legitimate factor of me asking you to have a conversation? It's all bullshit excuses, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The other one is, you said, on your, I saw on your social media post, you called me a deceptive asshole, which is true.
From what you've explained, it definitely sounds it.
Hold on, I think I missed you.
From what you said, it definitely sounds like it.
Yeah, well, that's it. If my, as an American, I have a right to, this is my first time to run. If my politician is hiding from a debate, he's a deceptive asshole. Right? He has no right to tell me what to say, so fuck that. But, so that's the other one. Now, what's this one? Called deceptive asshole. He said he won't debate. Now, he did one legitimate reasons. They were all personal reasons and excuses. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He can say, and he refused to debate in 2016, we had the war. He outright in 2018, when I ran, refused to debate, nothing, the papers didn't report it, and then even now he refused to debate, and there's nothing.
Have you tried reaching out to say Quincy Access TV or the Quincy Sun or something?
Well, that's it. No, Quincy Sun won't report that he refused. Patriot Ledger hasn't even printed that that I'm even running. It's just ridiculous. It's 30 days until the election.
Yeah.
But then the other issue is that Quincy Access sent us an invitation and said that we can record 5 minutes of talking, just to a camera.
Yeah.
Through a Zoom. So they said you can record 5 minutes of addressing the public on a Zoom. So me and you have already.
It's been 52 minutes.
Yeah, we've produced 10 times that much content.
Yeah.
We're still
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So 5 minutes.
5 minutes is nothing. Yeah.
So then they did that, and I wrote an email and said, dude, what the fuck? Like, are we stupid? Like, what this isn't in public interest. This is not the most adequate way of delivering information. But I ended up getting back to them, and now we're going to do a Zoom meeting, which is all even worse than the first one. It's going to be a Zoom meeting with 4 moderators. 4.
Yeah. Why so many?
Because they're stupid.
Okay.
Like, this is all of the, John can't defend himself. So 4 moderators, a host, and 1-minute responses with 15-second rebuttals. 15 seconds you can't even say your name.
Yeah.
And we're not allowed to talk to each other. And that's what he's trying to pass off as a debate. But like, that's a forum in a very bad way.
A horrible structured one at that.
Exactly. And the only way, it's either they're stupid and incompetent, or they're doing it on purpose. And either one of them shows that it's not right.
Yeah.
Either how do people interpret that? Whether they're doing it on purpose to protect them, or if they're doing this by accident, they're filmed. Like, if you've seen them, which is insulting, because you've seen the quality of their videos that they try to put up.
Yeah. Oh, they're amazing.
Yeah. I'm trying to uplift this, and that's what we should be doing. But they're taking the opposite approach and putting more buffers, more diluting all this shit. And he prefers that to trick old people. And like during the thing, he's going to say all the keywords. He's going to say, I look forward to working with Ed Markey of the Green in Massachusetts. Yes, Black Lives. I mean, like, we can't just say slogans and expect to pass when we don't have a 30-year track record of showing those.
Yeah.
So he doesn't want to debate because I call him out on his bullshit, and that's it. And he doesn't want to be seen next week because I think if people see that there's an option, they might take that, you know? So,
Does he do any social media himself? Like, does he try to talk to anyone aside from the elderly? Because I've seen the video that you posted of him talking with the elderly.
No, wait. Do you live in Quincy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Has he ever reached out to you?
That's a good point. It's a very good point.
Has he reached out to your family? Has he reached out to anyone?
Not that I'm aware of.
What does he do? What has he done for 10 years? What's he going to do in the next 10 years? Nothing. He's done nothing. He will do nothing. He's never, if you look on social media, there's nothing moving there. Just pictures of him with his hands folded like this, awkwardly standing in the background of the picture, while someone else getting an award. That's politics. Like, I don't know. The senator has two tools. The senator has their voice, and they have their time. John Keenan has no paper. And what does he use his power of communication for? Hiding. Like, if he wanted to, he could be more open and upfront. Like, one thing I think, if I was on that page, and I hope I am, is that we're going to have a podcast, and every issue I talk about, we're like, the border college, every freaking day I'm trying to have an expert question on what we're talking about, and having a meeting like we're having right now, record it, and put it up on Monday. That way you would have an expert opinion, and you'd have my insight. And then that's the most transparent thing. You get 4 hours of footage every week.
Yeah.
John Keenan doesn't even have 4 hours of footage in 10 years. That's just a big problem.
Yeah. Very untransparent. Which is not what you want in a political leader at all.
Exactly. So yeah. That's why I'm like, dude, he's not transparent. He's deceitful. He's a liar. He doesn't know what he's talking. Because I feel very confident that he is deceitful, not transparent liar. And I look if you look at Twitter, he doesn't express something he was at, but there's nothing there. So yeah, and you see how much he doesn't even campaign now, because I think if he campaigned now, people would look up if he has any opponents, it might be referred to my name. So he's staying even more quiet to make sure that I don't even have a chance, which is the exact opposite approach. If someone challenges you, you stand up to the camera.
Oh, connection lost.
You have a Jordan jersey behind you.
Can you repeat that? Sorry, you broke up for like 30 seconds there. That was weird.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I was laughing because I said, if you deal with someone who's actually good at something, like if you walked up to Michael Jordan and said to him, shit, I thought you smacked the ball out of his hand. In the next 5 minutes of your life of playing basketball with Michael John Keenan, it will make you regret on not made that stupid decision.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm just like oh, that was a mistake. That's the way I feel with Keenan. I went over and slapped the ball out of his hand. And instead of showing me up on why I shouldn't have done that, he ran away. And you're like, wait a second. If you were good,
you'd come back and give me some shit to say back. Yeah.
Instead of saying, I'm good. So that's the issue. The way I think of it is, have you ever seen those jackasses, the Tai Chi Chinese guys who like looking at us and how to push someone and the guy like
pretend to yeah.
That's the way John Keenan is. If you're surrounded by a bunch of fake yes men, you look like you have magical powers and all that stuff. But then if you ever Google those videos where those guys fight a real trained Muay Thai,
they get their asses kicked every time. Yeah.
2 seconds. And that's the way I voted. You know, dude, he's pulling his shit. I'm going to show you what there is.
Are you the only one running against him right now? Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna ask your opinion on one more stance, and then we'll kind of get into your ambitions as what you want to do when you win. You know what I mean? Because I believe right now, the way this is going, I believe you're gonna win by a landslide. You're much more intelligent than this dude seems to be. Very transparent. Yeah, for sure. So they're making the flu vaccine mandatory for children to go back to school in person now. But they're not doing the same thing for teachers or workers of the schools. What do you think about that? Oh, they're mandatory. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
All right, they're mandatory a flu vaccine for children when they go back to school for in person. Hello? Hello?
I got you.
Okay. They're mandatoring a flu vaccine for children for back to school, but they're not doing the same thing for teachers and people who work in the schools. So what are your thoughts on that?
I didn't get the last of that.
You know what? We'll just skip over the question. We'll just go to a different one.
Oh no, I'm sorry, not the vaccine thing.
Oh, okay.
Is, I love science and I love everything it has to offer. But as I mentioned earlier, I don't trust pharmaceutical companies. And I also don't trust the people who just hop on the bandwagon, like right now, incompetent legislatures. And they're making ideas, but they don't know anything. The same people who are making these decisions are the same people who stay quiet on keeping marijuana illegal, the same people who just let pervasive consumer regulations. And you're just like, wait a second. Like, you guys don't know what you're talking about. You're only saying these things. I'm just like, no one's saying these things just to say. You know what I mean? Like, they're trying to act smart, act tough, but they don't have any fundamental basis behind what they're saying.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Like, it's tough, and it's a real tough one, you know what I mean?
I just thought it was kind of weird because they're making it mandatory for children but not for staff members, which is kind of ironic.
Yeah, no, it is very weird.
All right, let's get into your ambitions as what you want to do when you run. I have a list of them here. Sustainable infrastructure. We can start with that. Why don't you kind of explain what your vision is for that?
There are two components of that. There's the economic impact and there's the real resource impact. When you invest in infrastructure, you increase production and you increase employment. That means you make something and you give people jobs. So infrastructure is a good thing. That's why if you're going to direct money, don't put money into developing countries, put money into building your own country because it has a return on investment. That's the best. The best way of saying best because there's a return on investment.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the economic thing. Remember how I mentioned creating hope and opportunity?
Yep.
Earlier, we're going to create jobs and economic growth, infrastructure growth. It should impact socially too. So that's the other. So that's the economic growth. But then, what kind of infrastructure are we going to be installing? That's the next question. So
Yeah.
we know why we want to do it, so that's the good reason. Then we have to ask ourselves, do we want to go natural gas? Do we want to go oil? Do we want to go coal? Do we want to go
electric?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then we have to look. We want to go down that fossil fuel and invest in the next 50 years in fossil fuels, which is a bad idea, but whatever. Or do we want to produce electricity through solar and wind and water? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially in Massachusetts, we're expected to have almost 500,000 more people coming to our state.
Wow, that's a lot of people.
What is it? Electricity demand, increased other demands, increased. Well, that's over the next 30 years. So we have to build. So that's infrastructure. We need to prepare. And the other one is population growth. And when you deal with population growth, increased resource demands and increased housing demands. And currently, we have people are going towards cities more, so that's why we're going to have that increase in population. It's all going to go towards Boston and Cambridge. But when you have population go up and living space gets tighter, living costs go up. So what we want to do is keep living costs down while dealing with our population and meeting their demands. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's the water.
But how do you do that? How do you manage doing that?
That's what I want to say with the same thing, what was it? The same way the U.S. did Western expansion in the 1850s, Massachusetts has to do Central Mass expansion for now. So what I want to do is have us build a bullet train Well, that's the Boston Unfiltered, which is one of the greatest innovation hubs in the world right now, fastest growing. We decongest that with a bullet train and a nice big fatty road on top of it. 10 miles, and that'll open up our entire state.
How many miles? Sorry.
Like 25, but then that's not a train number.
Okay.
We need an engineer to make it viable. And it costs like, it's like I forget, like almost $700 million per mile for the train.
Yeah, because I got the statistics right here. California's building a bullet train, and the business plan estimated $64 billion for the construction of it. And the current cost right now is 80.3. It went up by 20 billion. So obviously, it's not a cheap endeavor to go down.
I lost the second half of that.
So it's obviously not very. It's not
I
a.
know where you said it's obviously.
It's not a cheap endeavor to go down that road. You know what I mean? It's definitely going to cost us.
Yeah.
I guess my question is, where would that money come from?
Federal government. That's an easy one.
Okay.
It's the same strategy of when we built the highway systems. It's the same infrastructure when we built the Palmer Reservoir and we got our water. It's we pay federal taxes to make sure the money gets invested in us. We've spent $70 trillion on foreign wars.
Yeah. No, it's astronomical regardless.
So, for example, we spend like $20 billion on battleships a year. Although let's not build a battleship this year, and we do this. You know what I mean? And do job creation of building infrastructure in our state. And that will allow us to build new functions, allow us to accelerate our transition to renewable energies, look at more efficient water systems, more efficient electricity systems, and then that will allow us to decongest Boston and Greater Boston, and lower the housing costs. And at the same time, have a building boom, creating jobs, people building houses and growing our aviation sector, and it all kind of works together. But the money would come from the federal government, and then we need program regulation in our state with local and state authorities.
Now, do you think that would be easy, or would it be kind of a difficult job to try to get other members in Senate to get on board with the ideas?
I was going to call them all idiots. They haven't. My slogan is think big and get serious, because our state senate is doing so stupid shit. Like they all spend time on that. It's not just the guy to win. They all spend time on people. It's like, no, we have these big issues to worry about. So you guys should be on board on this. It all makes sense. It's like, what part are we saying that doesn't make sense? So I think it's kind of common sense thing. They're just not thinking big enough, and they should be able to get the outline and be able to adapt it to their region. And especially people in central Massachusetts, I think they would love it. There's one senator, his name is Eric Lesser, who lives all the way in, almost like way out of Western Mass. And he's already talking about a bullet train, but he's been largely ignored because of his thing. It would be going all the way up to Western Mass, which would be 4 times the size of my proposal.
Yeah.
Which would be 4 times the cost, and it wouldn't have proximity to Boston. That would be beneficial.
Okay. You want to reduce traffic too. I've heard you say that quite a few times. So what is your plan to reduce traffic flow? Your traffic is a bitch. I'll give you that.
Yeah, part of the infrastructure spreading out to Central Mass. If you look, I have a couple diagrams where you'll see the population density in Boston, and that's all going toward Boston. If we can direct some of that to the other end of that bullet train, then it'll kind of be like more of a barbell. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like two economic centers, and that will decongest traffic. And we can also incentivize working from home, which is something that people are already doing. You know what I mean? Incentivizing working from home, and a bullet train in building suburban capacity around that bullet train, the other end of it, and we have an economic hub there. So all of our economic activity isn't just in Boston. It can utilize in all of our state and how we'll be congested. Because the only reason everyone goes to Boston is because that's our economic center, but that's outdated because the reason our economic center is in Boston is because that's where our shipping industry was in the 17 or 1800s. With Boston, which is a bank. The only reason it's a bank is because sail ships needed to be in the safe harbor. That's the only reason Boston is our economic available was important. So there's no need to have that geographic location tied to it if we can disperse that to other parts of our state. And like, so in the morning, everyone's like going towards Boston, we can kind of go westward. And that cuts our traffic in half. And trust me, I know about traffic. I, as a lawyer, I travel every morning to every courthouse running to Salem, to New Bedford, to Worcester. I've been in all the traffic, and it's so inefficient, it's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Every person, every morning, stuck in traffic for about 2 hours to get there. And all of that is a waste of time and money, and increases carbon emissions, and it burns gas and other shit, which wastes people's time and money. So it's one of the biggest economic ways to have inefficient traffic, and that's what we have. So if we can prioritize better rail systems, better suburban capacities, incentivizing working from home, we can become a much more efficient state and stop people from fucking pulling out their hair every morning.
Fair enough.
Well,
Another key point that I wrote down here for your ambitions was government transparency. Obviously, you touched upon if you do win, you'll be hosting podcasts weekly, a couple hours to share information with people and the citizens. Would you ask other senators to join you or politicians and stuff like that for further?
I asked them to join, and I would be as open as much as I can, you know what I mean? Instead of having a private conversation with someone, I would should be saying, hey, let's get a camera on so that people need to know about this shit. Like, instead of us wasting their time, like, just saying it once, put a camera, get people knowing about it. And what, out of the 40 senators and 160 state representatives, how many of them have a weekly podcast? None.
Say zero, yeah.
People don't want to reach people. You know, you're seeing the fact of running from the district. That seems ludicrous to me. Like, that's stagnation of politics and people not knowing what they're doing or caring about the greater end of the world where they think that they're doing it. But no, be open, be transparent, get with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you can just do that. Just be like, hey, this is my opinion. Here's the issues that I'm worried about. Like, send me your input on this. I don't know. Like, it gives a way for people to be open and transparent. It's just that's what I wanted to. And then, which would make me sharper, but that's the way I feel.
Nice. All right. Well, you have a website, right, for people to support you as well? Help you hand out flyers and stuff like that. So you promote that on Instagram. So you want to shout that out?
Go to mendezforsenate.com. That has all the information laid out plain and clear, no bullshit. You can go to my social media, you'll get a lot more video, a lot more context, a lot more nuance, and then entertainment. I hope I've been entertaining.
For sure.
So yeah, that's at Mendez for Senate. I only share it on Instagram, but I link it to my Facebook and Twitter. My Twitter sucks. My Facebook is mediocre, but my Instagram at Mendez for Senate, MENDEZ for Senate, looks where to go.
Sweet. All right. Well, I really enjoyed talking to you. Thank you so much for your time. I think we got a lot of stuff crammed in an hour and 15. You know. I very much look forward to seeing the results of this election. I'll be voting for you for sure.
No, awesome. And are you gonna put this online or anything?
Yeah, it'll be on YouTube. I'll DM you a link to it as soon as I upload it on Instagram.
Awesome. Perfect. I appreciate it so much.
Sounds great. All right, thank you so much for your time, Alex.
You know, and anytime, just let me know.
Yeah,
Go, brother.
after you win, I'd love to have you back on.
That's the point. At any time in the next couple of weeks, let me know.
Yes, sir. Will do.
Now, let it work out. So awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Have a great one.
Rock on.
Take
All
care.
right, brother. Peace.
Take care.
Thank you.